Hi guys, welcome back to another lesson. So in the previous lesson we finished off our API and all of our endpoints. In this lesson we're going to move on to creating the client and creating our React app. So in this lesson we're going to have a look at creating the app using Create React App, that package, the npx package. We're going to tidy up and remove any of the unneeded code that's kind of bundled with Create React App. We are going to create some layout components and get started with styling. So this one I expect to be quite a long episode or a long lesson, and we'll hopefully just get started and have something to show pretty quickly in terms of our front end. But there is a bit of setup and boring kind of tidy up to do to begin with. So let's move back over to our code. So I've closed off my server using Control-C, and I'm just going to git add and do a git commit. So as I should have done at the end of the previous lesson, but forgot to do. So git commit mysem, finished API, endpoints as my message. Then I'm going to do git push origin main. So I'm going to push all of that to GitHub. And then what we're going to do is we're going to make use of npx. So this npx will basically run a script that will install React for us. And I'm going to zoom in for this so that you guys can follow this properly. What we're going to run is npx space create dash react dash app. We're going to do at latest to pull the latest version. And then the next parameter is going to be client, and that's going to be the folder where we want to create our React app. So this is quite a big one to install. It takes quite a while, but we're going to set that running now. And it should be done once we make some changes to the other code we need. So I'm going to zoom back out. I'm going to let that run in the background. And we're going to take a look. We're going to go into our package.json because we need to change some of our scripts now. Previously, we were only running the server, but now we need to set up our scripts to run the front end at the same time. So underneath server, under our scripts, I'm going to put a comma. I'm going to make a new script called client. And this is going to cd into clients. That means go into the client folder. And then we're going to do and npm start. So that script's going to go into the client folder and start the React application. I'm then going to make a new script called dev. And we're going to make use of concurrently here. And this dev script is basically going to run. It's going to run both the client and the server from one command for us, so we don't have to constantly run them both in separate terminal windows. So we're going to make use of concurrently, which is a package that runs these two scripts. We installed that right at the start. And I'm going to put, so concurrently, space. We then need to use a slash and a quote. So that is a backslash and a quote, npm run client. And then another backslash. Ooh, can't find my backslash. Another quote, space, backslash, quote. Oh, this is really messing with my head. Quote, there we go. And npm run server. Another backslash and quote. So what this does is it's going to run, at the same time it's going to run npm run client, which is our script here, and npm run server. I'm just going to modify the nodemon server.js script. I'm going to add a dash ignore space client. So that means it's not going to restart the server if there's any file changes in the client folder. Okay, so now that we've added those scripts, I can also see that our React Fullstack course here, it's finished. We can see our terminal again, and that's because we've finished installing all of the client folder. So in the right and the left hand side here, you can see all of the new client. This is the base. If I close all of our other folders off, this is our base React application here. So if I was to run npm run dev, we should see that our server started there, and now it is starting our React development server. So that's set up in localhost 3000. And there you can see it. We've got our React app set up and running. What I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly go back to my code here. I'm going to close out of this. I'm going to do Control-C to close out of our server and our script. And I'm going to cd into the client. I'm going to zoom in so you guys can see this in the terminal. So I've cd'd into the client folder, which you can see here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to install some required scripts, some required packages that we need in our client. So I need to do npm I react-router-dom. I'm also going to install Axios, then another space, and I'm also going to install, what else do I need? SAS, SAASS, to do our styling there. And I'm just checking that we don't need any other packages. React app, I don't believe so. I think that's everything we need. So I'm going to hit run on that, and that's going to go into the client folder, install all of these packages that we need, and we should be good. So we're in the client folder. We need to do cd space ... to take us back to the root of our application here. So back to the root now. And what I'm also going to do is inside the client, it's got its own package.json because it has its own node modules. So inside the client folder, I'm going to open up that package.json. It's different to the one in our root. You can see the scripts the packages we've just installed here: React Router DOM, SAS, Axios. I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom, and underneath browser list, I'm going to do a comma, and then I'm going to open up some quotes, and it's going to be called proxy. What this is going to do is it's going to proxy requests for us from our front end, which is going to be running on port 3000. We can proxy requests to http://localhost 5000. And that means when we make API requests on the front end, it's going to proxy them and make sure the requests go to our server. This is very important that we include this. Otherwise, you won't be able to make requests to the server. So I'm going to save that, and I'm going to boot up our development server again. So I'm going to run npm run dev. I'm going to close off this folder. I'm going to zoom out a bit because we're very zoomed in. And you can see it restarted our React application for us, which is brilliant. So I now want to go into the React folder, and we're going to start making some changes to our React application. So I'm going to make this smaller now. I'm going to make these tabs smaller. And on the left-hand side, I'm going to have our browser. Can make that small for now. Just so we can see everything we're doing alongside each other. Okay, so let's close this off. So the first thing I want to do is inside of this, there's a load of extra files I don't really care about or want to use. So I'm going to delete the app.test.js. I'm going to delete the app.css. We're not going to use CSS, we're going to use SAS for our styling, so I'm going to delete that. I'm also going to delete index.css. I don't want that. Ignore the error messages that are coming up here. We know that there's going to be errors. We need to update all of our imports. We don't want the React logo anymore. We don't need that. That's the base logo. And I think I'll just leave the rest there. That's all we need. So inside the source, I'm going to make a new file. This new file is going to be called main.scss. So this is going to be our styling. So I'm just going to create this for now, and we'll update that when we get to it. So I can close that off. I just wanted to create that folder early. And inside source, I'm also going to make a new folder called components, and we're going to store all of our React components inside of here when we get to building them. But I just want to create that folder for now just to get started. So now I'm going to go through these error messages that are appearing on the side. I'm going to try and resolve the error messages. So inside app.js, we can see a number of them. Error in app.js. This is where we deleted files that it's referring to. It's referring to the logo. We've deleted that logo, so we need to remove that. It's importing so I can remove that line there. It's importing app.css. We have now changed that to main.scss, so I'm going to change that to main.scss. I'm going to save that. We're still going to get lots of error messages. I'm expecting that. I'm going to delete all of the contents of this app here. And I'm just going to delete all of that HTML. I'm just going to put a div of hello world in there, and then we're going to replace all of that content there because it was referring to logos that we no longer have and things like that. So where else is a file? We've got another issue in index.js, and that index.js is looking for index.css, which we deleted as well. So remove that line there. Okay. So now we've got our base application there. We've tidied it all up. We removed everything we want. I'm going to go into the public folder because at the moment I'm going to just close off these old tabs that we have. So at the moment we have our title as React App. I'm just going to go into public. We can update that in the public folder in index.html. I'm going to change the React App title here to ToDo List App, just to make it related to the project. Okay, I'm going to close off all of these. And I'm going to open up main.scss. We need to spend a little bit of time doing some styling. I know this isn't a CSS tutorial, and it's not a Sass tutorial, so just try and follow along at these areas if you're not really aware of what we're writing. So the first thing I want to do is I want to import a font, so we're not using this horrible font here. So I'm going to use Source Sans Pro, and that's going to be a Google font. So I'm just going to Google for that. Source Sans Pro, Google font. They provide free fonts for us that we can make use of. And I'm going to just, where it says the different weights here, I'm going to select this style. I want to close that. I want to select the regular style. So I've gone for the light 300 regular. I'm going to take the semi-bold one and also the bold one. So I'm selecting a number of styles here that I think we might use in our application. We might not, but I'll take the black weight as well. Okay, so we can go back to this tab up here, view your selected families. So we've selected all of the font weights we want from Source Sans Pro. And on this Use on the Web tab here, I know it's very small for you guys, I'm going to click the import. We're going to import it like this inside of our styling. So I don't actually care about what's inside these style. I don't want these style tags. I just want that import line there. So I'm going to copy that. And I'm going to paste it in the top of our main.css file. So that's importing a nice font for us. I'm going to close this off here. And I'm going to go back to our React application. So I'm going to do some base styling here. We are going to create some variables, some CSS variables to allow for colors. So I'm going to make a primary one. That's going to be hashtag 00A796. That's going to be our nice primary color. I'm going to make a primary -dark color. That's going to be used for our hover buttons. That's going to be hashtag 026158. Sorry, this bit is very boring for you guys, I know, but we just got to follow along and get some base styling in there. We're going to make a dark color, which is going to be 1F2732. And a dark light color, which is going to be hashtag 2A343F. And we're going to make white as a variable as well, which is going to be hashtag FFF. There. We're then going to open up a body tag. We're going to style our body to have our new font family that we want. So font family Source Sans Pro. So this font we've got just imported sans serif there. We're going to do padding of 0, margin of 0, and background color is going to be dark. And we can set our primary color to white. Brilliant. So we've seen our new font come in there and our new nice dark background. We're going to just do some general tidy up styling. So we're going to do an asterisk, a star, comma, star before, comma, star after. That's colon before, colon after. And we're going to do box dash sizing, border box. And we're just going to make sure we've got no margins here. So we're going to have P, comma, H1, comma, H2, comma, H3, comma, H4. And we're just going to put a margin of 0 on those. We don't want any margin. And then we also want for button, comma, input, comma, text area. We want to make sure our font family is set to Source Sans Pro, comma, sans dash serif. Okay, so there's some base styling for us now. I now want to create a few of our first components. So inside of our app.js, I am going to create, we're going to open up app.js. And at the moment you can see we've got a hello world. What we're going to do is we're going to make a new layout component that handles all of our layout for us. So I'm going to go into components. This is known as a high order component as well. If we're using it in the base of our app, it's one that wraps around all of the other content on our page. So I'm going to go to components, I'm going to make a new file inside components. It's going to be called layout.js. And inside the layout, I'm going to import React from a React. And then I'm going to make a React functional component. I'm sure you guys know the basics of this. If you're looking at a full stack application, I'm sure you know the basics of React, so I'm not going to go through it too much. But const layout equals a arrow function. And then I'm going to export default layout at the bottom. And inside of our layout function, I'm going to return just another h1, and then I'm going to put layout component inside it, just as a basis there. So what we're going to do is we need to make use of React Router, which is or React Router, depending on how you say it, which is what we use in React to basically route around our application, change to /register, /login and whatnot. So I'm going to make use of the router here. So I'm going to import, and then I'm going to do curly braces, browser router, routes, and comma route. And that's going to be from react-router DOM. I'm then going to make use of this here. So what am I going to do? I'm going to open up inside of our return. I'm going to do some round brackets. I'm going to make use of the router component. And then inside here, we're soon going to have an header. Add header. We're going to leave a comment there. We're going to create our routes wrapper and our root and a root component. And inside that root component, we're going to do exact path equals /. So this is going to be what we're going to return for our home route. Path. And then we need to do element equals, and then curly brackets again. And then I'm going to close that off with / and then arrow. So our element here will be a component, but for now, I'm just going to return h1 home. Okay, so we've created our layout component. And in fact, I might even make another route for testing purposes. So I'm going to make a new route called /test. I'm going to move exact. I'm just going to have it the path test. I'm going to return a h1 of test. So I'm going to go back to app.js. And inside of app.js, I'm now going to import that layout component. So import layout. You can see I've got some IntelliSense telling me where to import it from, but I'll type it out properly. I'm going to do from, and we're going to open up quotes, /. I'm going to go into the components folder and import layout. We can then make use of our layout component inside of app.js. So I'm now outputting the layout component. And we have all sorts of issues here. What's going on here? We've got a typo here in our layout.js. It's meant to be routes here, and then route there. And then browser router should be, we had it as router first. It should be browser router, and then browser router on the bottom there. Okay, brilliant. Okay, so now that we've imported that, we can see that when we are at the root, we have our home element. If I go to /test, you can see that it's changed to test there. So this is our router in action. It's working nicely. If I go to something random, we should probably see an empty page because we haven't allowed for that route, which is correct. Okay, let's just close off this tab as well. Okay, what do we want to do now? So we want to make a header component. We're going to make a new component here. It's going to be called header, and this is a header element that's going to appear on every single page. So inside this header element, we need to import React. From React, we're going to make a functional component again. So it's going to be const header with a capital H. That's what we use on React components. And we're going to open up an arrow function there. We're going to return, for now, a h1 of header, as we always do, just an empty filler. And then we need to export default header at the bottom there as well. Again, I'm not going to go through this too much in depth, seeing as you're doing a full stack course. I'm sure you guys know the basics of React components. So inside of this header, I'm going to then, inside of layout, I'm then going to import the header. So I'm going to import the header component we've just made. So header from /header. And then inside our browser router, I can add the header here. And as you'll see, we now see the header component at the top. And even if I go to the test page, you see that the header component stays because it's a global component in a high order component. It's outside of our roots, so it's appearing on every single page. So we're now going to do some code for this header. So I'm going to delete all of that. I'm going to open up some round brackets there. And I'm going to return, and I'm going to make use of Emmet here. So Emmet, if you don't know, is an extension that is, I believe, built into VS Code now. So what I can do is I can do .main-header, and then I can hit the tab key. And what that's going to do is it's going to make a div with the class name of main-header for me. So if you don't have Emmet or you don't know about Emmet, give it a go. See if it's already built into your Visual Studio IDE. If it's not, then you can always have a look into another tutorial and getting that running. It's very easy to get started and set up. If not, just write out the div class names in full as I'm typing it. So inside main.header, I'm going to have another div with main-header __ inner. This, if you've never seen the syntax before, this is called BEM styling, where you use these kind of class names. That's a whole nother tutorial, whole nother kettle of fish if you want to go down there. But yeah, so we're going to be using _ quite a lot in our class names throughout this tutorial. Inside there, we're going to have another div, main-header _ left. And inside this left, we are going to have a link to the home page. So it's just going to be called ToDo List. We're going to put ToDo List inside of there. We're going to wrap this in a link, which we need to import. So I'm going to write in a link here, but we're going to get an error message saying as I haven't yet created the link. I haven't yet imported the link from React Router DOM, but this is basically creating a link element which is built into React Router DOM to allow us to navigate around the website. And we need to do 2. Instead of href, you do a 2, and it equals /. So this is basically our homepage logo type thing. And you see I'm getting an error message because I haven't imported link. So import curly brackets link from React Router DOM. So we can now see it's we've got a link. If I go to the test page here and then click ToDo List. Oh, if I go to test, and then click ToDo List, it will take us to the home page, which is brilliant. That's exactly what we want. And then inside of here, I am going to do the styling in a minute to tidy all of this up for us. We're going to make a new div after our main header left called main-header _ right. We're going to have a button with the class name of so we're going to do button dash, not be a button, sorry, our class name is going to be btn, short for button, and that is going to be log out. And for now, it's just a placeholder. It's not going to do anything. We're just creating placeholder styling to allow for when we do have our proper buttons and layout in there. So we're just creating for now some dummy components just to fill the spaces. So I'm going to go back to the main.scss. And I'm going to add the styling for our header. So we're going to open up, we're going to do a new tag, and it's going to be main-header. We're going to open up some curly brackets. We're going to make a max width of 768 pixels, a width of 100%, margin of 0 space auto, and padding of 15 pixels. We are then going to do an and symbol _ inner. That's why we use this nice BEM styling, so we can do this easy Sass styling in here. So it's and _ inner, which basically stands for main-header _ inner. That's going to be display flex, align -items center, and then justify -content space -between. So that's going to separate. You see it separated our button there. And then we're going to do and _ left. We're going to open up the A tag. We're going to target the A element. It's going to be color of white, font weight of 700, so it's going to be a bold button, font size of 2 rem, and then text decoration none. And we're going to do transition all space 0.3 seconds space ease. So that's a nice hover effect. Then we're going to do and : hover. So our hover state is going to be opacity 0.7. So when we hover, it will just change the opacity. If I test it out, you can see the opacity changing there. Brilliant. And then I also want to work on, we need to do our button styling. So button, I've gone outside of those other, outside of our main header, we're going to create a global button style. It's going to be a display, inline dash block, background color, primary, padding 10 pixels, 20 pixels, border none, color white. So I'm using our variables here, so it's $primary, $white. Border radius 5 pixels, font size of 1 rem, and we're going to have a hover effect of background color primary dash dark, and then we're going to do cursor pointer as well. And then I also need to add to the bottom of this button transition all 0.2 seconds ease. So if I save that, then we get a nice star button now. Oh, 0.2 S. I forgot to put the S on the end of the transition there. So we get a nice transition effect on the button as well. Okay, brilliant. So that's our header component done as a basic. I'm then going to create a new component, and this is going to be called Auth box. So our Auth box is essentially going to sit on the home page. And what it is, it's going to allow us to either sign in or register depending on which one we want to do. So if you look at it, it's going to be basically, it's going to be a form, or either a registration or a login form. It's going to be the same component to cover both registration and login. We're just going to send it through a prop. And that prop will allow us to choose whether we want to whether we're registering or whether we're logging in. So I'm going to do import React from React const auth box equals. I'm going to do some open up my functional component, and I'm going to export default auth box from the bottom there. And inside our return, I'm going to do some styling straight away. So I've opened up a return, some rounded brackets, and I'm going to make a div with the class name of auth, and then inside that auth underscore box, and then auth, another div of auth underscore header. And then inside of that, I'm going to do a h1 of login. So it's going to be a nice login box for us. And then I'm going to create a new field. So this new field, I'm going to create some fields to log in. So you basically like the email, login, and email and password fields. So I'm going to make a new div, auth underscore field for the class name. Inside there, I'm going to have a label. That label is going to be called email. And then it's going to have an input with the type of text on it. And then I'm going to copy and paste what I've just created. This auth field, I'm going to paste it down. And I'm going to have an auth field for password. And then type is going to be password inside of type instead of text. Then underneath this field, I'm going to make a footer. That's going to be .auth underscore what was it, footer. Then I'm going to have a button with the class name of btn, and it's going to say login. And that auth footer, I'm going to wrap all of this. So where the fields start and where the box starts, I'm going to actually add a form in here. So I don't want to wrap that around. I can wrap that around the fields. Form. Remove the action. We don't need that because this is going to be a form. And I need to put that underneath where the footer closes here. So I'm going to put that there. We've got a nice form element here. So we've created the component in its basic state for now. Inside the auth underscore footer, I'm also going to add a error message so that we can style up some error messages in case we get some. So I'm going to add a p tag. It's going to be auth underscore error. And it's just going to say something went wrong. So we're going to style up some of this stuff ready to actually make it functional. So I'm going to go to the layout, and I want this element on my home page. So where we've got element h1 home, I'm going to replace that with the new auth box. So import auth box from auth box. So I've imported the element at the top there, not the element, the component, and my element is going to be auth box. So you can now see that our auth box is appearing here nicely. It's got no styling on it, so we need to do that. But that is our login form, and that's going to be on the root on the home page of our application. So let's go to our styling. Underneath our button, I am going to go and create some styling for our auth box. So .auth, open up some curly brackets. That's going to be a display of flex, a margin top 50 pixels, align dash items center, justify dash content center, and underscore box. It's going to have a max width of 500 pixels, a width of 100%, a padding of 50 pixels, and a background dash color of dark dash light, and a color of white, and a border radius of 5 pixels. If you guys don't want to deal with any of the styling stuff, you can always go to the repo that will be linked in the description, and you can always go and copy and paste all the stylings there so it's ready to go. Saves you doing the boring styling bit, but I'll include it so people can follow along as well. So and underscore header. I'm going to do a margin dash bottom of 20 pixels. We're going to do a text align of center. And then underscore field, margin bottom 30 pixels. And then we're going to target the label element inside of there, label. And that's going to have a font size of 1.5 rem. And display a block, a margin bottom of 10 pixels. And then we need to style up our inputs. So our input, it's going to be quite a lot of styling on this one. Background dash color of dark. Width 100%, padding 15 pixels, border none, border radius 5 pixels, and a color of white, $white. And we want to do an and colon focus. So when it's focused, I don't like this outline that the browsers add. So and focus, outline, none. Okay. And what else do we need to style? We now need to style up the footer. So we need to get outside of this field element. And underscore footer. It's going to be dot button. We're going to make sure the button inside of that footer has a width of 100%. And then we also need to style the error. So and underscore error. It's going to be font size 1 rem. Margin top of 10 pixels. It's going to have a color of, I'm going to type this color in, FC123456. In fact, FC and then 4 sixes. In fact, I might as well add this as a variable. So I'm going to change this to a variable, $red. And at the top, $red is going to be there. Okay, so we're going to leave the styling as it is because underneath, we can then add that underneath our field elements. But in the footer, I want the auth error to look slightly different. So inside footer, I'm going to do .auth underscore error. It's going to have a margin bottom of 1 rem, text align of center, and a font size of 1.25 rem. There we go. So that's a nice error message on our login route here. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to go back to auth box. The auth box is not just going to be used for logging in. It's going to be the same component, but for registering as well. So if I do, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass a prop into the auth box with the option of register. So if I go back to our layout.js, I'm going to close off some of these that we don't need. Path /tests, I'm going to delete that one, remove that. I'm going to make it register. And inside the element for our register page, we're going to have auth box. We're going to have the auth box element here, so auth box. But we're going to pass in a prop of register. So what I'm going to do in this auth box here is I need to accept that prop or make use of that prop. So I'm going to use destructuring with curly braces and pull out register. So if register is true, I can do some certain things. I can show different text. So for example, in here, I'm going to now delete this login. I'm going to do curly brackets, if register, question mark, if it is, so if it's a registration auth box, I'm going to type in register as the header, or colon, I'm going to do login. So if I go to the /register route up here, you can see that our title's changed. If we are registering, we also need more fields. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this auth field here. I'm going to paste it so we end up with 2 emails. Instead, I'm going to change the email to name because we need the name field if someone's registering. But we don't want that if we're in login. So I'm going to wrap that. I'm going to do some curly braces and it's going to be conditional. So I'm going to do if register. So if it's a register auth modal and round brackets, then I'll return it. So that means this will only appear on the register version of the auth modal. We also need a confirm password field with the exact same reasoning. So curly brackets, register, and round brackets. So if register is true, I'm going to copy and paste this field up here. It's going to be, the field is going to be confirm password, and we're going to have a confirm password field. I'm also going to test the error message here. So if we have an error on these fields, we're going to end up with a P of auth __ error, and it'll be something went wrong. So that's if an error is going to be valid. So yeah, that styling looks good already as it is, so I don't need to change that. I'll comment this out for now, and if there's we can basically wire it up to say if there is an error, show that message. I also want to change the button. So if it is register, I want to put the button text as register. If it's not, if it's a login modal, then it's going to be login. So there you go. So we've got a register version there. If I go back to the home page by clicking this link, you can see here that it's the login, and we lose those extra fields. We go back to the login text and whatnot. /register again, and you can see this and the correct styling there. Okay, so that is the updated. I think that's all we need to cover in this first lesson. It was a very long lesson in comparison to the others, but we've got the basis now to get started on really starting to wire stuff up. We're building some dummy components. They don't do a lot at the moment, but we are ready to start just to rock and roll basically when we're moving on to using to putting in the data using our API inside of our client and logging in properly and registering. We're just creating our dummy components in this, and we'll continue and we'll look at using state management and our state management options in the next video. So thanks for watching this lesson, guys. I will catch you in the next one.